G'day, Dobbo here, and I can't tell you enough. Kratzmann's RV Super Centre up at Burpengary on the Bruce Highway. The only place to buy a caravan or a motorhome, brand new, second-hand, they're all there. And you know what? They do deals. They love it. They do deals. You go up there with a handful, go and talk to them, you'll get a caravan. That's all that matters. Either way, just tell them that Inside Ball, you've been listening to Inside Ball, and we told you to go and see them.
All right, welcome back to the Inside Ball podcast, the round 20 review.
Where's
Kevie?
Dobbo, mate? I
was going to say, the elephant in the room, where's Dobbo?
Mate, where is Dobbo?
I've heard he's playing golf. You've heard he's hosting the radio.
Golf on a Monday.
Yeah, it must be tough. Must be tough.
Tough job he's got, hey? Look at you and I just carrying the cans.
I know, first thing Monday morning. Must have been a last-minute tea time. He only called me yesterday to let me know. So, yeah. Must have squeezed him in somewhere. I'm sure he's got a membership somewhere.
Well, he rang me this morning and said he forgot about the commitment that he had at Triple M. So we'll let him go.
We'll let him slide.
We've got this anyway.
Yeah, exactly right, mate. A huge weekend of footy. No Broncos, but a massive Queensland derby on Thursday night.
Yeah.
The mighty Dolphins 43 defeating the Cowboys 24.
What a game this was. The Dolphins' edges just powered through the Cowboys' defence. You know, like they scored in the first 3 minutes, I think, didn't they, the Dolphins? And then the Cows have had problems with their defence all year, really, leaking lots of points. I think they conceded 100 alone to the Dolphins in the two games. So that's an area of major concern for them. And the Dolphins, like their outside men are so fast, you know, Averillo lightning across the ground, Herbie Farnworth, you know, the hammer. They all had a field day just ripping shreds out of the Cowboys' defence.
The Dolphins just keep doing it. Injuries, and they just keep getting the job done.
They do, but they've still got a good spine intact, you know, and the players around that spine are giving them the space to work well. Averillo at 6, he's obviously got the job there now until Cody Nikorima gets back. But, gee, they play a good style of football, and, you know, they put on some tries late in games, which shows me that they've that's a good football side when you can score points quickly late, a bit like what the Raiders did to the Eels. But yeah, it was a great performance, very strong performance, but still it keeps them outside of the 8, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I was just going to say, you talked about the Cowboys leaking points. I had a quick look just then. Cowboys have the worst points differential in the competition at the moment at 163.
Right.
The Finns, though, are almost the complete opposite, 169. They're in...
Positive.
Yeah, positive. In 9th spot, 22 points. So 2 points out of the 8.
So that really does mean they're actually 2 points more once they get in. The next 7 weeks, we've got seven rounds left. And the Dolphins draw home. I think I had a look at them, quick look this morning at all those teams in and around the 8 from the Broncos, you know, back to who's...
Sort of the Dragons are at 11th?
No, I think the Dragons are done.
Yeah, the Roosters at 10th then.
Yeah, Roosters.
Yep.
They're sitting on 22, aren't they?
Yeah,
Roosters?
they are, yep.
And Broncos are sitting on 26.
Yep.
So with 7 rounds left, and a lot of these teams are playing each other too, Das. So, you know, like the Dolphins have got a few teams that are above them that they're playing. All the teams have, including the Broncos. They've got to come home twice against the Storm.
Yeah.
And the Dolphins play the Broncos as well at Suncorp. That's going to be a huge game.
Blockbuster for sure.
One, as well. So, yeah, plenty to like, you know, about the Dolphins' performance. And they're doing everything that they can, you know, to get themselves, you know, back in the 8.
But talking about points differential, they're 169 in the positive. The only team above them in the top 8 is the Storm, Melbourne Storm, with 218. So, yeah, they're definitely scoring a lot of points.
Yeah,
but they keep doing it.
They keep doing it, which is great, and it's good. It's good for themselves as well. I mean, they haven't. They missed out in the finals the last 2 years with Wayne Bennett in charge, and now.
Christian Wolf
is, he's got them. They're not in the 8 though. They need to keep winning.
They're close.
I believe but they're close. So, you know, I think this time last year they were in the 8, and then they faded the last couple of games. So, look, it's going to be a great finish to the season.
It will be a great finish. Do you think, like I heard a lot of people last year saying with the Finns, they sort of ran out of steam, and the club, you know, being a new sort of NRL club, lacked a bit of depth. Do you think that could play a part in the back end of their season? Or
no, well, I'm not too sure who they're getting back.
In terms of injuries and stuff, yeah.
Cody Nicarima will be back, but I wouldn't have thought for a couple more weeks with that hamstring. It looked at a pretty severe one. So, but even with what they've got, they're playing great football. Really good football. And, I guess for them, it's just about winning. All these teams in that space, even the Broncos, they just need to keep winning because they drop a couple of games and then they get leapfrogged, So it's going to be a great finish.
It's going to be a great finish. I'd love to see them do it for their fans. Some of the Dolphins fans, I've been to games out at Redcliffe in the pouring rain when they're getting smashed, and none of them, they're all sitting there in their raincoats. I know, they're very, very loyal, so I'd love to see it.
Yeah, they're welded on, aren't they?
Yeah, big time.
Rusted on, as they say.
I think, as you said, the Broncos-Finns game at Suncorp will be absolutely massive in a few weeks, so looking forward to that. Mate, moving on to Friday, the Sharks 31 defeating the Roosters 18.
Yeah, the Sharks, well, that was impressive by them. I thought the Roosters... Well, I tipped the Roosters.
I think a lot of people tipped the Roosters.
Yeah, I just thought those Origin players, dropping back in the side was really important for them. But Nico Hines and Brayley were the stars, for the Sharks. They both had brilliant games, which got them home in the end. They got out to a bit of a lead, the Sharks, and then the Roosters fought back hard in that second half. But it was Brayley and Hines to get them home. Terrific performance. Chad Townsend didn't have one of his better games, so that. Was not so much a gamble, but the decision to play him in the game, possibly could have been a wrong one looking back, but I understood,
Easy to say in hindsight.
Easy to say in hindsight, but, the Roosters have got some work to do as well. They're sitting outside the 8 as well, and their run home isn't favourable either. They've got some tough games. Well, they all have, and they're all playing each other, like the Dolphins as well, I'm pretty sure, in their run home. So they can still make it, of course, but that was a win they needed to get, and they didn't get it. And the Sharks, of course, they need to win as well, and they got the win.
I was
so
going
they'll
to
be
say,
happy.
do you think that could be a sign of how the top 8's going to finish up? Like, those two teams sort of in and around the same spot. I felt before this weekend the Roosters was sort of had a bit of a wet sail coming home, and the Sharks almost the opposite. So
yeah, well, it's changed things, hasn't it?
Big time.
That one win, confidence-wise as well for the Cronulla side, and also, I think the top 4 is probably sorted,
the Warriors win, which we'll get to, I think probably helped that.
Yeah, and, I know the Storm went down, but still they're a good side, and they're going to be in the top 4. It's just a matter of the bottom half of the top 8 and where they all finish. It's going to be very exciting, mate. And
very
good win by the Sharks, certainly. And then the Panthers, of course,
yeah, got it done. Talk about coming home with a wet sail. The Panthers are flying.
Well, that was a pretty tight game, wasn't it? That's 6 in a row now for the Panthers. They did it without a couple of their Origin players in Cleary and Yeo, and also Martin out with that injured hand. And for them, like their fullback Dylan Edwards was outstanding. He ran for 290-something run metres, 2 tries, and the rookie centre Casey McLean was brilliant as well. That was his best game in the NRL. Picked up a couple of tries, and it was the Panthers' defence that won in the game against the Rabbitohs. And the Rabbitohs, they're having a rough season. Another injury with Keon Kolomatangi injuring his ankle. So I'm not sure of the prognosis of that, but he looked to be in some discomfort on the field, so he might be out for a couple of weeks as well. Wayne Bennett said they tried hard but just weren't quite in the game, which is, a fair assessment. And the Panthers, well, they just keep giving.
It's scary, the Panthers. They're looming, and they've got, as you said, a few players still to come back. There's
still that top 4. Let's not underestimate, being in that top 4 and the advantages that you get from that situation. So, I think they can cause some havoc, certainly, but they got to get there as well. Yeah, they're not home. They're
saying that just about everyone, but that just shows how tight it all is.
Yep. And on Saturday, the Raiders took on the Eels.
Yep.
Masterclass from the Raiders in the second half, 28-0.
I think they've locked down the minor premiership now. There's no way they can't win. Is that correct?
Oh, no. Well, if they lose 6 in a row, they're done.
Okay, yeah.
No such thing as locking stuff in until it's actually locked in.
Sure.
But it was the old boys' day down in Canberra. My brother Stevie went down and had a great time down there with all the old boys, and they got away to a good start. And then the Eels, for about a 20-minute period there into half-time, they looked like they had the goods and maybe they could cause an upset. But then Ricky got his boys together at half-time and must have said some really nice things at half-time to, remotivate the side. And that second half was amazing from them. That's the sign of a quality
a good side.
28-0.
Yep.
That's pretty special. And, as for the Eels, they got to take on the Broncos this week.
Yeah, I'm sure you and Dobbo will cover that off, but the Bronx off the bye as well.
Yeah, they're off the bye, so they'll be fresh. And the Eels, they got a bit of work to do. I think they're sitting in maybe 16th position, which is not great for them.
It looks like I've never been down to a game down in Canberra, but it looks like such a fortress down there. Like,
yeah, it's a big stadium. It holds 25,000-30,000, and they're just all green. Like there's very few away fans go to Canberra.
Yeah,
it's mainly
cold and
it's mainly the home folk. A bit like Suncorp, I guess. You might get 3,000 or 4,000 of the opposition away fans, but certainly in Canberra that's the case. And it was a beautiful afternoon for rugby league, and they lit it up. The Raiders
dished it up. That's
it.
Was
a great job.
They're on fire this year, mate. Another tight game. The Doggies taking on the Dragons down at a core.
Well, this game had everything too, didn't it?
Yeah.
Poor old Dragons.
I know.
And their coach Shane Flanagan was disappointed with a couple of decisions late in the game. There's a play the ball incident, which they got away with. The Bulldogs. It should have been a penalty to the Dragons, and it wasn't. And they got down there and they scored on the back of that. So, and there was a couple of incidents too where Shane Flanagan was a little bit optimistic about the decisions. But my father always said when I can remember in the early days of playing rugby league, you never blame the referee.
Mm-hmm.
You can blame all sorts of things, but you do never blame the referee because they make mistakes just like the players do. They had 80 minutes to win that game, and they had their chances, the Dragons, and they didn't take them when they were on opportunity, and the Bulldogs did. Lockie Galvin, under pressure all week. Well, it was
stepped up in the moment.
Magic pass. And I was on the panel at Fox with Sean Johnson and
he would have been loving that,
Cooper
surely.
Cronk. He loved it. Yeah. And he took us through the try and what he sees as a 7. It was really nice the way he went into the line, and then you pass blind. You do pass blind out in front of the man. You can't see them because you're into the line, into the defensive line, and you get players running everywhere. But he just lofted it beautifully over, to put it right on the spot so the winger could run onto it and score the try. It was a beautiful piece of rugby league, and a lot of pressure on that young kid, Galvin. A lot of noise through the week about him with dropping Toby, Sexton and the like, and it proved to be the right call in the end. But the jury's still out, I think, on the decision with Galvin, whether or not he's the right one. Obviously, they're going with it and they're going to make it work. And, I thought it was a good finish for the kid. He was under a lot of pressure, and it's nice for him to throw that final pass.
Yeah, he definitely puts his best foot forward in terms of...
Well, he's a player. We know that. He's a player. Whether he's a 6 or a 7, at this stage, I'm going to say I believe he's a 6, but you can turn yourself into a 7. You've got the right players around you, which he has, good experienced players around him. I think he can make something of this. But I do feel sorry for Toby Sexton. He's had a huge input and over that side. And he'll still play a big role, in the team in the next, 7 weeks into finals. But at this stage, it looks like Galvin's going to be wearing the number 7.
You talked about sort of throwing that pass blind and taking on the line. How much of that, Kev, is coaching, like these young kids coming through?
Well, practice it all the time. Yeah, it's all practice. There's also a high level of that skill. So there's not many players in the game. You can nail it. You can get it right, but it's about getting it right consistently.
In the big occasions.
In the big occasions,
the
big moment.
Line. Yeah.
What was there, 40 seconds left on the clock? So that was his moment in time, and he nailed it. So it was a bloody good play. Let's be fair, really good play from a young kid who's 20 years of age. His confidence will grow so much from that. So well done to him and well done to the Bulldogs. They've been very brave throughout the week and sticking by their man, and they got the job done.
Yeah, big time. Dragons, unfortunately, lose a Queenslander in Val Holmes on the weekend with a bit of an injury.
Yeah, shoulder.
Yeah, do you think that'll play a big part in the rest of their season?
Yeah, that could have. Well, it did have big impact on them, on the weekend. They've lost 6 games by 6 points or less, the Dragons, and that's going to be the demise of their season. They just needed to jag, a couple of those wins, and they would be in the 8. They can still make it, but it's unlikely.
Yeah, they're still in 11th, so they're not too far away. But
it's unlikely. Tough draw home, the injury to Holmes. I think it's going to be tough for them to get into the 8.
I think Val...
They keep fighting, which is a great sign.
It is a good sign. I think Val in the Origin series, I don't want to say he was underrated or underappreciated, but just from watching it from a fan's perspective, it seemed like there was a few occasions throughout the entire series when the game was sort of on a knife edge in terms of which way to go, and he just seemed to come up with a big play, whether it was a big tackle or
that big tackle
a hard
on Crichton.
run.
I remember that in Game 3.
Yeah.
That sort of lifted the Queenslanders
Yeah.
and rocked Crichton.
Yeah.
What's going on here, mate?
Exactly right. I feel like that's what he's good for. He's just so
Yeah.
big and strong and fast.
Oh, he's a very important member of that Queensland side. And same with the Dragons as well. He's their goal kicker on top of that. So, yeah, he'll be missed heavily, by the Dragons. But they can still make it. They just got to get some wins,
As you said, some of those tough games, they got to capitalise on them.
Converted one or two of those, they'd be in the 8 now. But they can still make it. I'm not like Dobbo and putting a line through all these sides with 7 rounds to go.
Maybe that's Dobbo's problem. He's out with a shoulder injury from last week, ruling everyone out.
They're nearly done, but they got to win from now on. They got to win.
Still breathing.
Yep, they're still breathing.
Big upset down at Amy Park. The Storm 16 go down to Manly 18.
Look, I love this performance from Manly. It's very hard to win at Amy Park. I think the Storm are undefeated there in their last 6 or 8 appearances. 6 this year and the back end 2 games of last year. So might even be a stretch of 10, I think, at Amy Park.
I saw something that was Xavier Coates' first loss at Amy Park in 26 games.
Right,
or
well, he scored
ridiculous.
a hat-trick, didn't he?
Yeah.
And still lost. Yeah. And some of his tries amazing. Hats off to him. His try-scoring ability is amazing. Big Xav, good in the air and good at finishing. He's got that beautiful body shape where he can use it to his advantage to get around corner posts and then still be able to get the ball down. A couple of runaway tries from him as well. The turning point was in that late in the first half when Big Nelson banged the elbow back, and that was a critical moment in the game. Harry Grant actually scored off the play the ball. It was a brilliant piece of work from Harry.
He's a freak.
He is, mate. He's such a good player. He's got the helmet on.
I reckon he's my favourite player. I love him. Yeah.
Yeah, I love him too. I love the way he just goes about his work. He's always in the game, whether it's making 50 tackles a game or trying to set up his teammates with some different little plays. He's always at you, always asking questions with the ball. Yeah, that was a brilliant individual try, but unfortunately got pulled back, and Big Nelson's got 2 weeks over it as well. Craig Bellamy, he was disappointed with the loss. They're a big club on big games, and that was a big game. It was the Old Boys weekend as well in Melbourne. So they were all down there. I noticed with interest when they ran out, they all ran through the Old Boys and they were high-fiving and having a bit of fun, But, that was his most disappointing thing, was that in front of the Old Boys that they were just hot and cold throughout the game. And they had their chances to win. But Manly, let's give them some credit. They were very good, particularly in that first half.
Well, they're just looking now, they're in 7th. So, like, they're,
Yeah, they've won 3 in a row and bang, they're back in it, And Tom Trbojevic, I thought, had his best game of the year at centre. Will he move him back? I don't think anytime soon, but he could move him back at the back end of the season. A lot of people saying that Manly will be a better side with Tommy at fullback, and I don't disagree with that. But I think as long as Tommy's in the side, they're every chance of going deep into September. I thought, as I said, I thought he played his best game in the weekend. He was very good, started to bust tackles and set up tries and looked very dangerous in that centre position.
When he gets going, it's terrifying.
Yeah. I love the clip after the game when Jake Trbojevic
You're celebrating?
rolls in, and he kicks the bucket of
All
water.
the Gatorade over.
And flies everywhere. He was pumped up. We spoke to him on Fox League after the game. He was so pumped.
Yeah. Massive win.
That's a
like,
massive
huge win. Yeah.
To go to Melbourne and beat Melbourne, and they're pretty much full strength. They didn't have too many.
Everyone's pretty much saying Melbourne are the premiership favourites this year as well.
Well, they
so,
are.
Yeah.
They're my favourites
Yeah.
to win it. And Raiders just in front of the Raiders. But look, that was a great win by Manly and much needed one. I'm sure their coach was pretty happy, after the game, and Craig Bellamy not so happy.
Do you think they'll miss Nelson the next couple of weeks?
They will, but they got some good depth there at the Storm. So, that's a big game for them on. Is that Thursday night? They're playing the Roosters.
Let's check. The Roosters Thursday night. Yeah,
it's a big game.
And then
for
who have
them.
they got the week after? The Eels on Thursday again. So
so this is a big one for them because they want to obviously finish first if they can. To do that, they've got to win pretty much all of their games, and the Raiders drop 1 or 2. So first or second, they'd be looking for to get that home final certainly, and the second bite at the cherry.
Yeah, such a good outfit. They seem to just
We haven't seen their best football yet.
which is scary.
Gus. Yeah, no. When they put it together.
Scary knowing they've got 2
Grant,
games against
no
the Broncos.
Pappenhausen, of course, at fullback. He's out with that calf injury. But Jerome Hughes is a very good
He's
seven.
a freak as well, yeah.
You know, he's up there, with Cleary, Tom Dearden as the best halves in the competition. So, he's playing good football. But, just that 4 together is very scary. And it hasn't happened for some weeks now. So when they get that back together, look out.
Just in time for the Broncos game, probably.
Yeah, probably. That'd be right.
I feel like Hughes goes under the radar a bit, given he doesn't play Origin, but he's just a freak.
He had 4 tries last week against Newcastle in the one half.
Yeah.
And he's a Dally M halfback of the year last year. He was a player of the year.
And he wasn't even a halfback, was he? He started off as a fullback.
Fullback up in Townsville in the 20s.
There you go.
He went to Townsville, then to the Titans. And even at the Storm, they tried him at fullback and thought, and he somehow got a game at 7. There's a couple of injuries. Bang.
Never
away
looked back. Yeah.
What a player he is.
Absolute freak.
What a player. Always in the game and always at you.
Absolutely.
Which is a great halfback.
Mate, yesterday, Sunday, 2 very, very close games.
Wow.
The
what
first
a Super
one,
Sunday it was in the rugby league.
The first one down at Leichhardt, Tigers 21 defeating our Titans 20, unfortunately.
Oh, look, I felt so sorry for the Titans. And I was actually at the airport last night, and they were in the lounge, in the Virgin Lounge. Saw Desi Hazard and a few of their coaches, and look, they were bitterly disappointed. They should have won that game, Das. Luck and the football gods didn't allow that. And they had their opportunities too, but they just couldn't quite get it done. I thought last week against the Broncos, that period around half time, just before and just after, was their Achilles heel. Well, they fixed that this week. They scored a try, right on. De Groot scored right on half time, which sort of got them back in the game or in front or thereabouts. And then the second half, they give away a couple of penalties, and the Tigers took the opportunity to take those points, and then just the finish was horrible for the Titans. The late try, again, just repetition of things and a bit of lack of ill discipline. The defence wasn't that great. Desi was furious after the game, and rightly so.
Yep.
The players, they need to take some responsibility with this, what's happening at the Titans, because they should have won that game yesterday. And I can understand his frustration. His 499th game. So this week will be 500 for Des. And they've got to go to New Zealand to take on the Warriors. What a tough ask that is. But, they'll rally themselves.
Hopefully they get behind him.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. But it was the Tigers have only had the 2 games at Leichhardt. They had a Golden Point win against Cronulla earlier in the season. And now it wasn't Golden Point, but what a thriller.
Yeah, Yep.
And for the Tigers, well, they've won more games now this year than last year, still with 7 rounds to go. So there's a lot of noise around Benji and the Tigers and Galvin leaving the club. But that's a better season than last year already with 7 rounds to go. So there's plenty to like about the Tigers and what they're doing. They're just not quite there yet. But it was a good win yesterday.
Yep, and unfortunately, Big Tino goes down as well with an injury.
Yeah, I caught up with him last night as well. Him and Big Dave Fafita bumped into them in the lounge.
Just 2 relatively large sized humans in the airport.
I mean, we all looked okay together. I'm looking up like this at him,
Got a sore neck this morning.
Sore neck. Yeah. But, he was very disappointed after the game. He's got a knee injury. He's going for scans today. It's obviously not a short-term thing. That's a big out for the Titans.
Yeah.
For them to get off the bottom, They're sitting, in 17th at the moment. They need to win a couple of games, and for that to happen, they're a much better chance of winning with Big Tino in the side. So we'll see what the scans say the next couple of days, and hopefully he's not out for too long.
Yeah, fingers crossed. And mate, to round out the round, one of the better finishes I've seen in quite a long time.
Oh, look, there have been finishes like this. I can't remember the last one, though. There's been a few over the time. But, for the Knights to get ahead with that field goal, and they were up 15-14, and they had a penalty shot as well, didn't they, the Warriors, to win the game, and they couldn't nail that. Tanner Boyd missed that, and then he had a shot at field goal. I'm not sure which order it came in. He missed that as well, and then in the last 20 seconds, he's lined up.
2-pointer. It was outside 40, so it would have won him the game too.
Yeah, would have won him the game as well. And he got charged down, and Halasima just swooped on him. Like, he's a freak.
I don't know how he got there.
Have you seen that try?
I have seen it.
We've got to put that up to show everyone.
I can't believe when I swear, if you froze the frame when he's probably 15 metres out, you think there's no way he's going to get there.
40 out.
Yeah.
He wasn't
hanging off
there.
him. And then I'm like, oh, it'll be double movement here. And he just got there.
And poor old Gags, like he's the fullback, Dane Gagai.
Yeah.
You see this big hulk of a man coming at you at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and he just beat him with a sidestep. And because of his bulk and how heavy and like dynamic and fit he is, his weight just
carried him over
the line. I reckon he fell over 5 metres short.
Yeah, he did.
And he just
then all
slid.
just on his back. Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
Like, it was amazing. So great scenes for the Warriors. Their coach was, and I was interested to see what he had to say about the game because they were a bit clunky, the Warriors, but the Knights were very good. They missed a couple of scoring opportunities in that first half. They should have scored, and they didn't. The Warriors held them out, and then the coach was accepting. He said, yeah, we'll take that because we've been beaten, and they have been beaten like that before. Every team has those little wins where you don't think you're going to win, and the last minute, the last play of the game, they got up and had a win. So they needed to win too, the Warriors, to put that little buffer between the Bronx and Penrith. So a good win by them. They host the Titans this week. So they're sitting firmly in the top 4 and rightly so. They've been a good side all season.
I do love the Wars, but as a Broncos fan, I was definitely cheering on the Knights yesterday afternoon, hoping for that top 4 spot.
Maybe they could sneak in, but they just keep winning, don't they? And they all do that top 4, although the Storm had a loss, which puts them back down a little bit. But, I think that top 4's... Well, I'm not going to say it, actually, because no one's safe at the moment.
No one's safe. There you go. Do you have a player on the move for us this week, Kev? Brought to you by Kratzmann Caravans, obviously.
Well,
RV
it's got to be
Super Centre.
Halpacema. I mean, we normally go for a Queenslander, but that's the play of the year, really.
Yeah.
And
talk about on the move.
And freakish. He was on the move.
Yeah.
Very quickly, was he? Hooked the van up, hooked the Kratzmann up.
He had him all on the back of him. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
So, certainly him. And, I think the field goal as well for the Tigers was a moment in time as well.
That probably got
Adam Dewey
would have got a lot more coverage had the second game not have finished the way it did.
It was brilliant from the Warriors, and he's our player on the move.
Yep, love it. Okay, I've got a few questions for Kev rolling in on the Instagram. Of course, keep an eye on Instagram if you do have a question for Kevie. We will put up a question box before every game, or leave us a comment on YouTube as well. We'll get back to you there. Kev, they've come in thick and fast this week.
Yep.
What is something that the Raiders need to change to continue their winning streak?
Well, I don't think they need to change anything. The thing I like about the Raiders is they're a team of tackle busters. 1 to 17, they can break tackles, which means you've got to commit not just one defender, but 2 and 3 in the tackle, which pulls your defensive line apart. And they're a bit unorthodox the way they attack as well. They're a good side, the Raiders, and people are just waiting for them to fall a little bit, but they just keep winning. And Ricky Stewart, after the game, was disappointed the way they let the Eels back in the game, but it was a really strong finish. And that's a sign, as I said earlier in the potty, that's a sign of a good side when you can score points quickly and at will, against the Eels. Yeah, that was good signs there for the Raiders.
Very good signs. What do the Bronx need to work on to make it to the grand final?
Their defence is the one that's sort of causing me the most, not so much issues, but
concern?
Not so much concern either. They've got certainly the roster to make it into the top 4. Can they make it? Can teams make the grand final outside the top 4? Of course they can. History shows that it's difficult, but if you've got the right side and the right mentality, you can do whatever you like. I think they can certainly do. They can get to the grand final, win the grand final, the Bronx, but they need to start showing a bit in the next bit of that consistent football. They struggled a bit. The Titans last week did enough to win, sort of thing. They got the Eels this week. They need to play well this week against the Eels and put a bit of a stake in the ground. And,
for sure.
7 games left to start getting ready for that final.
I know what you mean. They've obviously in good form and a string of wins together, but they just haven't put, for me as a fan, haven't put that full 100%.
No, well, a couple of those wins were against
together.
The Titans, who are coming, 17th, and I'm just looking at this.
Even the Dogs game, obviously the Dogs are going well. They beat them, but
they beat them. But the first half, wasn't acceptable or to a standard that they would hold themselves to. So they've got a bit of work to do, but still a lot of football in this season for all the teams, and the Broncos are one of those. They've got huge improvement in them. If they can get to where they, their best football, that'll beat a lot of teams.
Big time. Talking about making a push for it from outside the top four, sorry. Will the Dolphins be a premiership dark horse with multiple 40 and 50-point games?
Well, what they're doing is putting themselves in the right position to make the 8, right, with their for and against. They're playing great football. Can they go all the way? Again, I'm not going to put a line through them, Das. I mean, they've got some big injuries there to key players and key forwards, but they just keep showing up every week, the Dolphins. Had a disappointing loss to the Sharks a couple of weeks ago, but they've just bounced back brilliantly, last week, against the Cows. So the next 2 or 3 weeks, vital, They still got a bye, I think, the Dolphins.
I think they got the bye this week.
Round. Yeah, this week, yeah.
Yep.
So that's a good time to freshen up. Maybe they'll get a couple of players back in the next few weeks, back on the field, and they can then really set sail for home and really have a good push towards the finals. But a lot of these teams that are ranked from 5 to 11 are all playing each other. So it's hard to try and predict who's going to finish where.
Especially when even just this weekend, some of the games, the Storm going down and
and the Storm have got the Roosters on Thursday night, so they've got one day less recovery, and they've got to travel to Sydney. So these little things, whilst the little 1%ers, that make the difference sometimes. So that's an advantage to the Roosters even before a ball is kicked. But that's been happening all year. So, and the Storm are one of those teams that they can back up really well, really quickly. I'm not sure if Munster's playing this week, though.
Oh, okay.
Because of his father's funeral.
Sure,
He may miss that game.
Yeah.
So if he's out, ooh.
Yeah. Leaves the door open a little bit for the Roosters. Yeah, big time. Kev, what are your thoughts on Owen Paddy, next Queensland hooker?
Love him. Yeah, I can see his work, that little spurt that he did on the weekend of 10 or 15 minutes. He normally comes on with about 20 to go, doesn't he, for the Raiders, and just brings energy. He brings speed. His passing game's good. His defence is good. I was very fortunate. I played with his dad at the Broncos. Matthew Paddy was his name. He looks exactly like, the apple hasn't fallen far from the tree, I can tell you. He looks exactly like his son, and he was tough. He was a tough hooker, like the lad is, and a good player as well. Very gritty player. Good player to have, good fella, good bloke to have around the club.
The locker room and stuff.
The locker room. So it looks like the young fella's exactly the same mould. And he's playing a big part in what the Raiders are doing. I mean, he just came on there and just blew the Eels apart with his dummy half work. And then defensively, he's tough as the old man, very gritty and loves mixing it up in the middle. Yeah, he's a good player.
Great to see as a Queenslander.
Yes.
And, mate, final question that we had was, speaking of Queensland hookers who are a bit like their father, can we get the difference on the show? The people want it.
Well, I'm not calling him that. I'm not allowed to. I've been banned from calling him that. But, Billy, we will try to get a couple of the Bronx players on. I'm trying to get some of the Dolphins players. Jack Bostock, send me your number, bruh. We've got to get you on. We want some of your cooking tips on our show as well. Herbie Farnworth, where are you, bruh? Return my calls. We're trying to get these guys on, Dust.
Come on, what's going on?
What's happening?
We'll
do yourself a favour. Your numbers in social media will go through the roof when you get on Inside Ball.
Maybe we can have a Cooking with Kev and a Jack Bostock
Jack's got me covered, mate. Yeah. Jack has got me covered. How do
you reckon you'd go with the lid off next to Jack Bostock as well?
That won't be happening either. Come on, Dust. Don't say these things.
Sorry, we want to get the boys on. Yeah, we want to get the boys on.
Yeah, we want to get Jack on. We can put maybe a cooking class with Jack.
That'd be good fun. Yeah. No, mate, thank you very much. Another massive round of footy. I think we've got a very special guest on Wednesday.
We have.
Might be out a little bit later than usual. Usually our episodes are out Wednesday morning, but I think it's coming out later on Wednesday.
That's fine, as long as we get it out.
Yep, exactly right. And then back Thursday for the preview with Dobbo.
Look forward to that.
Thanks, mate. We'll see you all next time.
See you guys.